Hello everyone, Nubkeks here, and we have an absolutely crazy patch with some big shakeups to the meta, especially the high level meta and the pro level meta. You're going to see through HGC on that spec and all the rest. Let's dive into it, the patch for November 28th. So, first things first, hooray, by the way, it's finally here. The changes to Quick Match, ensuring that there will now be at least one warrior, one support, and one ranged assassin per team in Quick Match. At least it will prioritize creating teams like that. I mean, if the queue is crazy long, it might do some weird stuff. But I think it's a great idea. Obviously, this will change and get more specific when we have the new role system, which we're expecting in the near future. I don't know exactly when, hopefully soon. There's also some additional rules added onto this. If you're in a party of 3, you must have one of these. Which, you know, makes sense. If you had 3 melee assassins, there's no way that you could meet these requirements with your 5, the other 2 people from your party. Parties of 4 must have 2, and parties of 5, you can do whatever the hell you want and you'll be just fine. So I think that's, you know, it's pretty nice. I think this makes a whole lot of sense and should hopefully improve Quick Match an awful lot. Should help Blizzard balance the game better as well, because they're balancing it around a much more set system of how the game works between pro level and Quick Match play. I think this is a great idea, and yeah, I'm glad that this is finally here. On top of that, players who queue for Quick Match games using roles that are in short supply will receive 50% bonus experience for being team players. Just look for the Call of the Nexus bonus experience indicator. So if I hop over into the game, here we go. There we go. If I go into the hero select, I can mark heroes with, okay, well, there's none right now. Nothing. You'll never get bonus XP, but you get the idea. There will be now a thing that you can tick, and it will show that. Just bad luck. It's not working. Here we go. Back to business. Let's go into the hero changes. The big stuff here. Alarak, first of all, small changes here, but some buffs to some of those talents that you almost never see, particularly around his basic attacks. So level 1, Ruthless Momentum. The health threshold for cooldown reduction reduced from 80 to 75%. Show them in game now in a second. Show of Force trait, damage increased from 77 to 80. And then level 16, Mocking Strikes, cooldown reduction increased from 2.5 to 3. Ruthless Momentum, obviously your basic abilities recharge a bit faster, while above, it used to be 80, now it's 75% health, so you'll have that up more often. What was it, level 4, it was Show of Force. Heroes hit within 3 seconds of his abilities. Heroes hit with 3 of his abilities within 2 seconds, take an additional 80 damage. So that's more damage now, right? That's what they changed. Yeah, so barely more damage. Still seems relatively difficult to pull off, but, well, there you go. It's there if you want it. And then Mocking Strikes, which is basic attacks against stunned, silenced, slowed, or rooted heroes. Reduce the cooldown of his basic abilities by 3 seconds. So, yeah, on the whole, I think some nice stuff going on there in terms of, like, that sort of cooldown reduction and then proccing this bonus from casting your abilities multiple times. So, yeah, I mean, they're just very rare talents, so it's nice to see them get a little bit of a buff. Nothing too big there. Now, some of the bigger stuff. Genji. Genji. Basic attack range reduced from 5.5 to 4.5. Let's just go through this comment and let me give you my thoughts on this. Genji continues to be an incredibly powerful force at the highest level of play. This change will force Genji players to put themselves at more risk when attacking enemy heroes before they're in his Swift Strike's execute range. If this change is not enough, we have some additional ideas to curb Genji's dominance that we'll explore in the future. Now, in my opinion, Genji is a big problem hero because, well, as recently as of BlizzCon, so last month, and the finals of HGC, I think it's fair to say that Genji would easily be considered like top 2 or top 3 hero alongside like Maiev for sure. Like Genji's way up there. However, at the same time, in Hero League across most ranks, Genji has close to a 40% win ratio, which is abysmal, easily within the top. Right, the top 5 worst heroes at lower ranks of play. So he's, you know, a hero that thrives in the hands of these highly skilled players and thrives in the sort of meta that exists in that highly skilled and coordinated environment. In a less coordinated environment where people are making mistakes much more often, he's nowhere near as good. I think that they've made mistakes in how they've changed Genji in the past. So, for example, one of the things they did was narrow the window for getting a reset on his Swift Strike. Okay, they made it narrower, so it's harder to get a reset. Well, here's the problem. You made a hero harder to play. This punishes people in the lower ranks. which is where Genji is already struggling. Whereas players at those higher ranks, like the pro players, they don't care. Like, if you look at the best players in the world, they don't care if it's a 1.5 second reset. They don't care if it's a 1 second reset. They could probably do it very consistently. Well, maybe not as much, but fairly consistently, even if it was half second or less, you know? These guys can pull this stuff off, so they get punished much less for those changes that make heroes harder to play. I would say, looking at Genji, I mean, honestly, I think the things you need to do is just make the hero easier to play and then make his power, like, just flatter, more consistent. So let's say, for example, if you look at Deflect, his W, instead of having it be whatever it is, like 1.25 seconds of just protected, make it be like 3 seconds of 30 armor, something like that. So it's like significantly weaker, but it's much easier. So instead of like a incredibly skilled Genji player who can time it perfectly and get insane value, for like just your average player who can easily mistime it or forget to press it or whatever, much easier for them to get value out of it, but it's much weaker. You get the idea, right, of making something easier. Basic attack range is pretty interesting. I think this is a pretty good one. Again, this will, however, also impact lower skill players, you know, hugely as well. It's a pretty substantial nerf to Genji. A lot of his damage comes from basic attacks, especially a lot of your poking damage in the lane. It's typically weaving, you know, basic attacks in with some of your Qs. And then you're going into Swift Strike to finish people off, and your Heroic similarly. So it's a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big nerf to Genji. I would say this definitely means Genji. Like, if you're like below Diamond, Genji's probably pretty terrible, unless you're extremely good at him. You definitely don't want to be rushing out to pick Genji or ban Genji, and you shouldn't have been doing so for the last while. Like I said, unless you know someone on the enemy team somehow, you know that they're amazing at Genji, then maybe, but apart from that, no. Another huge one now is Hanzo. We got it's taken them about a year, but here it is, boys. So basic attack damage has gone up from 188 to 198. That's cool. Level 7, never outmatched. Let me show this one to you. Where's Hanzo the Manzo? So this is the one that reduces the cooldown of Scatter Arrow. This used to have insane synergy with Serrated Arrows, doing double damage to minions, mercs, and monsters. And you could just spam that sucker out. You could get extra arrows with this. You could eventually get piercing arrows like here. And you could absolutely... I've done videos of it before. I'm sure you guys have seen it before as well. You could just shred through bosses, through mercenary camps. It could chunk minion waves very easily too. Objectives, everything. So strong. Massive nerf here. Yes, the cooldown reduction has gone up from 2.5 to 3. But it will only apply when hitting an enemy hero with a basic attack. So no longer can you get that cooldown reduction from hitting a boss. This is a huge nerf to Hanzo. Huge nerf. Even as well in team fights. I mean, even just the poking value of the W has gone down so much, because you can't just shoot the minion wave and then be firing off these Ws non-stop poking the enemy team. You can't do that anymore. You can't like shoot a Nubkeks beetle and then fire off your Ws. You can't shoot like a turret and getting extra W. It just doesn't work anymore. You're defensively clearing a merc camp while also harassing the enemy team. Can't do it. The W cool, this is so huge. It won't affect you. Let's say you're on Cursed Hollow. It will massively affect the boss. It won't affect you so much in a team fight in that area. Honestly, like, this nerf this buff is so big. What is the cooldown? It's 8 seconds. Here's the thing. You are getting 5-second cooldown reduction with the basic attacks. And I mean, his basic attack's pretty slow, so getting that extra half second off per basic attack, it makes so little difference. It's barely a buff at all. But this is absolutely massive. So we might see actually a big shakeup in terms of how Hanzo's played, perhaps. I think this is an amazing, like, oh my god, it's taken so long for this to happen. You guys have heard me rant about it loads, but it's just been so stupid that you have this hero that, on top of just being this fantastic ranged assassin with great team fighting, great poke damage, but that they also just destroy neutral objectives so fast. It just ruins the strategy on so many maps. Thank God it's finally gone. The reign of terror has ended. No longer is, Hanzo on a mass of the boss, like Battlefield of Eternity or something, just this immense pain in the ass. It's now way more balanced, and we'll see. Honestly, I think he might even end up needing some more buffs. We'll see, to make up for this, because it is a big deal for the typical player here. We have Flawless Technique has been buffed, damage bonus to 25 to 30%, and Giant Slayer 1.5 to 2%. So those are at level 16 here. So Flawless Technique. Obviously, Piercing Arrows is pretty much always taken because you're always going like simple geometry, never outmatched. Then Serrated Arrows on maps with bosses. Explosive Arrows where Wave Clear is more important. And then Piercing Arrow obviously synergizes with all of the things there. With these nerfs, they're obviously opening up new builds. So number 1, Flawless Technique. Hitting heroes with Stormbow increases the damage of your next basic attack by 30%. And then likewise, your basic attacks increase the damage of the next Stormbow by 30%. And your basic attacks are by default doing a bit more damage now, so that's nice. And then Giant Slayer. Enemy heroes hit by Scatter Arrow and basic attacks take a bonus 2% if they're maximum health. I think these talents have already become more appealing because of the change to this. And yeah, I know we might see some different builds come back with Hanzo. We shall see. It took so long. It wasn't quite a year because he did have... I remember there was the time where he sharpened arrowheads is ridiculously overpowered as well. And I think he's kind of bad at launch. Or I can't quite remember. And then, yeah, there's been a bunch of stuff. But anyway, this is freaking... These have been ridiculous for ages. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you. Finally. Oh, my lord. All right, Kerrigan. Nerfs for Kerrigan as well. And a couple of buffs. But mostly nerfs. Basic attack damage slightly down. Impaling blades damage slightly down. And mana cost up. Now, they did buff the explosion of Psionic Pulse in return. Mana cost also slightly up, though. So the I think this is good. You know, it limits some of that burst, and there's a lot of burst. I'm going to have a Kerrigan video out well, I don't know when you're going to watch this, but on Thursday for me. It's going to be up there. But Kerrigan, you can obviously build into immense burst damage with your W with this, with Impaling Blades. And then like Painful Spikes as well. People take more damage. So you have you drop the Maelstrom. Like you go in, you Maelstrom, you stacked up Kinetic Fulmination, and you can just like massively burst somebody. So at least they're reducing the damage that you can stack with the W a little bit. And the damage is coming through the explosion of her E, which happens, what's it, 2.5 seconds? Yeah, it's 2.5 seconds after you pull someone in. So it delays that more. It gives healers a little bit more time to respond, which I think is good. Assimilation Mastery has been buffed at level 1. Sharpened Blades have been buffed at level 4. So damage for killing minions gone up and maximum damage increased. I'm not familiar with these because she's kind of new, the rework. So let me just check. So this is Regen Globes give you instant shields. And while shields are active, your health and mana regen goes up a lot. That's cool. Obviously, Fury the Swarm was insanely strong. Got nerfed like by half or something insane like that. Siphoning Impact is probably the go-to at the moment. So they're still very good, but this one getting some love. Sharpened Blades then is just the stacking Q quest. It's going to stack a lot more. Primal Sonic Pulse has been, I guess, kind of buffed by proxy, seeing as they buffed the explosion in the first place. And then Kinetic Fulmination has been the go-to again, probably, and that's been slightly nerfed. So that's all good. Chrysalis. The health has been increased. So that is nice. It's now 90. Was it always a 90-second cooldown? I don't remember. It is a 90-second cooldown, though. But now it has a lot more health, so it's harder to destroy that Chrysalis. Mounting Potency. The spell power duration has been increased. So this is going to become actually fairly appealing. 5% spell power whenever you Ravage for 5 seconds. It's going to be much easier to sustain that even when you are, CC'd and you can't Q to somebody. So that's a pretty big deal. Unbridled Energy has been buffed as well, which is hitting a hero with your heroic ability, giving you spell power. This one could become very good too. Again, like I said, Impaling Painful Spikes is kind of typically the go-to because you were going to hit people with the W. That already synergizes with the Maelstrom. It also gives you power even outside of Maelstrom in terms of getting picks. So yeah, that was pretty damn nice. But yeah, these become more appealing. We'll kind of compete with that, and I think that's good. And then Omega Storm has been buffed once again. So this is giving you duration increase every time it damages a hero. I don't know. Some people have got some weird maths. I remember someone telling it's been buffed twice, quite a lot. Like that's a big buff. I remember when it first came out though, people were like, Nubkeks, this is so overpowered. You'll have like unlimited Maelstrom if you hit like one person. I was like, how are you getting this? I don't what is going on? But anyway, maybe those streams will now be a reality, perhaps. I mean, hey, if you hit 4 people every second, there you go. You're in there. Unlimited Maelstrom if you hit the entire enemy team, basically the entire enemy team. Oh, they've got Rexar and Misha and they're stacked up even more. The Lost Vikings will no fear. Sorry, I'm getting carried away. Nova. Yes, no, more Nova. Okay, they're switching some stuff here. So Perfect Shot doesn't grant additional stacks of snipe when they refund mana. Look at the shameful gold portrait of Nova. So perfect shot, hitting an enemy hero with snipe reduces the cooldown by 4 seconds and refunds its mana cost. So that makes that really good, and that's really nice for early game stuff. Just spamming out those snipes, and you're not going to be punished for it anymore. So that's actually a pretty big deal. And then you no longer get mana back on 13. Instead, you get an additional stack of snipe. So, okay, that's kind of cool. Additional range, and you give an additional stack. I mean, in theory, if you're very good at Nova, you could easily then go into like double tap instead and say, screw this extra range. I don't need the extra stacks of snipe. I'm just gonna, go for extra slows. I can hit them with snipes when they're slowed, no problem. Look at me go. So kind of interesting. Then you got this. This is such a weird talent compared to these two. Huh. I haven't paid much attention to it before, but there you go. So yeah, interesting stuff there. Orphea, some big changes to her as well. Basic attack damage gone up 10%, and bear in mind, of course, that her trait does proc bonus damage off of that. So this is actually a pretty nice buff to her and to the damage that she's going to get from utilizing her chaos properly. It's bigger than it seems. Her Q damage has also gone up, again 10%. And the cooldown of Crushing Jaws has gone up from 50 to 70 seconds. I feel like this one, I guess that's kind of fair. I kind of like the idea that both the heroics are kind of similar in cooldown. The reason I'm saying that they may not have needed to do this is the change that they've done here. We'll come to that in a second. Let's just go through these now, and then I can talk about this after. But yes, on point, which is damage bonus from hitting the tip of the Q. The damage bonus has been buffed a lot. I think that's fair. I mean, for me personally, I probably would have liked to see it maybe move towards having that tip be a little bit bigger. But I guess having the very small tip but doing a lot of bonus damage is okay as well. I don't know. It's not what I would have done, but there it is. Then we got Lurking Terror. Now, this is big. So basically, Lurking Terror, the way it used to be, was 25-second cooldown. From your E, you could cast a Chomp for free. And, of course, you could stack up bonus Chomp damage with her level 7 talent. That would proc off of Lurking Terror. All the rest. This is now only a 10-second cooldown, so that's nice. However, it shares the cooldown with Chomp. So you can no longer, just go in, Crushing Jaws, throw your E on them as well, then Chomp, Lurking Terror, drop it all, just bam, explode someone in like this just one-shot combo. So they've removed that, which I think is probably good, and they're essentially pushing her towards more sustained damage with her basic attacks and chaos and with Shadow Waltz. So that's kind of why I'm saying I don't know if they needed to change Crushing Jaws, seeing as you're kind of removing the double Chomp thing. But that's what they've done. So there you go. The first Nexus Born heroes arrived, showing a bit of teeth, especially in the burst department. The combination of high stacked Ravenous Hunger combined with double Chomps with Lurking Terror is a bit over the top, especially since you could set everything up fairly safely with Crushing Jaws. We've taken the bite out of that combo by linking the cooldowns of Chomp and Lurking Terror. We're offsetting this loss of burst by increasing her sustained damage potential. We'll continue to closely monitor. We realize the loss of her blow up potential will make Lurking Terror much less exciting talent to pick. Future design idea says spruce it up. Yeah, this legitimately makes this talent total garbage. Pretty much. It's really fucking bad. So yeah. Like, yeah, we'll fix it eventually. But yeah, compared to like Dead Magic, which is decent enough, or Bonds Anger, like these are both, none of these talents are amazing, but these are both pretty damn solid, to be honest with you. So you're probably gonna go for one of these now and be building into Eldritch Conduit more so. I don't know. I personally love a bit of sustained damage Orphea myself with my Eternal Feast. I dig Eternal Feast, so hell yeah, we might do that. Might do some more Orphea games soon. Check that out. Over on Abathur's side, the heal on regenerative microbes has been nerfed, which is really good because, yeah, he was doing too much healing. So, yes, it was, yeah, exactly, causing a lot of issues at pro level play. And, yeah, okay, so I think this is good. They're just like, listen, this is obviously too strong for what it is. We're just going to nerf it now. We'll come back and buff him later. I think that's totally fine. I mean, you don't want to see it like every single change being like that, but I think in this case this makes sense. And to be fair, Abathur is a very unique hero, so I'm totally willing to give some leniency on being like, okay, you can fix that later. I mean, I'd prefer if they just had something better for this, like now, I guess, but this one I'm like, okay, listen, Abathur, fine, you can take some time fixing him. Bombardment for Asmodan, the range bonus has been decreased, so Asmo in the last hurrah, the specialist role. Bombardment, so hitting after casting Globe Your basic attacks have more range and hit additional targets, so slightly weaker. And then Pride, at level 20, the damage bonus has been reduced. So this is at max annihilation. Increases the area, and you do an additional 100 damage. So that has been reduced as well. So, yeah, I don't, they're just kind of small tuning things, to be honest. A few slightly bigger things in healers, though. Ana, healing from her healing dart has been nerfed, because Ana's been doing very well recently. So, I mean, she was out of the meta for so long that obviously as soon as she comes back, she should be nerfed. Get rid of her. Deckard, healing potion. The cooldown has been increased from 3 to 4 seconds. I think this is good. The mana cost has gone up. The healing has gone up as well. I think this is fair. I think, the Deckard potions were probably a bit too strong and a bit too spammy. So I think this is a change for the better. I think it also will remove some of the power that came from, especially like the freaking shielding thing was really strong. Like you're throwing out this potion that's shielding all the time as well. So yeah, that this will bring a bit more balance to this tier and maybe open up some different Deckard builds and playstyles and stuff like that. We agree with the feedback that games play out better when there are windows of time to take advantage of enemy cooldowns. 3 seconds! When it comes to supports, this change is intended to reduce Deckard's ability to keep himself or his allies alive when multiple enemies dive onto them. Bear in mind, it's not just 3 and 4 seconds as well. You're getting cooldown reduction from this. Basic abilities recharging 50% faster. So, yeah, I mean, it's in reality, it's not going to be, a whole second more that's going to be reduced by, I don't know, maths are weird. So, never do maths live. This change is intended to reduce his ability to keep himself and his allies alive when multiple enemies dive onto them. Going forward, to be looking at ways to increase counterplay by adding these windows of time for players to take advantage of each other's cooldowns. I mean, that's literally what higher level play is formulated around. It's like gaining value and playing around cooldowns for everyone's cooldowns, every cooldown. So that's good. Hooray. Stukov, lurking arm, the range has been buffed. They're like, hey, now that we nerfed the hell out of it, we can give it a bit more range. That's nice. Stukov's changes a few months ago were intended to remove him from the game, while also reducing the dominance of his lurking arm build because it was really annoying. While this had the effect we intended, Lurking Arm is now a much more risky ability to use for the majority of the game, whether or not he takes talents related to improving the ability. This change is intended to round this out a bit by letting Stukov use Lurking Arm a little more safely. It's like we've gotten over the trauma of Stukov. So, yeah, we're going to buff it up a little bit more. Okay, I mean, honestly, more buffs to silences would personally be my favorite thing in the... I mean, if we could give every hero at least a 5-second silence... preferably maybe even permanent silences. I think that would really make the game way more interactive and give more counterplay. Silences are just great for counterplay. It's like you remove the enemy's ability to use any abilities, and then you're like, capitalize on my cooldown being gone now. Oh wait, you can't because you're I really don't like silences. It's a pet peeve. Anyway, Light of a Loon, Q. Tyrande. Look at this. Charge cooldown increased from 15 to 16 seconds. Slight nerf to her healing. Once again. Level 1 talent's been moved to level 7. All level 7 talents moved to level 1. So one of the big things here is pushing her cleanse a little bit there. Still evaluating Celestial Attunement. So I think that one is that the bonus healing one? No, it's not. Celestial Attunement is... Oh, it is the cleanse. Okay, cool. So yeah, level 1, you now have these choices. Everlasting Light. If Light of a Loon's second charge is cast on a different target, heal for 40% more. Really solid. Mark of Mending. Probably the weakest one. Tyrande's basic attacks healer for 2% of her max. Well, definitely the weakest one. 2% of her maximum health. Basic attacks against targets with Hunter's Mark heal the attacker for 2% of the maximum health. I guess it synergizes really well with Tracer, except that her maximum health is really low. Loon's Chosen. Also really good. 30-second cooldown. Activate to make Tyrande's basic attacks heal target allied hero for 200% of the damage dealt. Lasts for 8 seconds. So really good single target burst. A bit more sort of spread healing. So yeah, just kind of healing stuff at level 1 now. Then level 7, you get the choice of Moonlit Arrows. Basic attacks decreasing the cooldown of Light of a Loon by additional bit. Maybe stronger now, seeing as it has a longer cooldown, I guess. Celestial Attunement. Light of a Loon removes stun, silences, and slows from its target. So super powerful thing. Just cleanse on demand, 2 charges of it all the time. Amazing in pro play, especially. That comes at level 7. And then Calderai Resistance. Light of Balloon grants the target 10 spell armor for 2 seconds. This effect stacks up to 2 times. I'm going to be like, so this is obviously a nerf to her pro play. I'm going to be honest though, I feel like this will probably end up being a buff to her at most levels of play where, well, you know, I mean, there isn't that, the coordination isn't as important, so the cleanse isn't as important, and the cleanse is also harder to use. So realistically, I guess you're trading a bit more like cooldown reduction or some spell armor, which is very good, but that's been nerfed a lot since it came out too. You're just going to straight up get like 40% more healing on your second heal, or this if you, for whatever reason, or a Loon's chosen. So that's a bunch more healing. I think at most levels of play, this actually ends up being a pretty nice buff. Though I guess you got the cooldown increase on Light of Balloon to make up for it. So I don't know, maybe it comes out in the end. I mean, by the time she hits level 7, she's just like slightly weaker in terms of cooldown from where she was before. But yeah, some more changes to Tyrande. And there you go. White main. Desperate Plea cooldown increased from 0.3 to 0.5 seconds. I don't know if that particularly matters. I don't know what the intent of this is either. If it's like to reduce the healing output, though it doesn't particularly matter, or if it's like to stop people casting it twice by accident. I don't know. It's a small change though. It won't matter too much. As far as I can tell, it won't matter too much. Then in Warriors, finally, Blaze. Bunker drop. Allies now have to channel for half a second to enter the bunker. So this is actually a big deal. Because obviously crowd control stuff will now stop you from entering the bunker. You can be stunned within that window. So if someone is being hardcore focus fired by multiple members of the enemy team and you drop the bunker for them to escape, the chances are much, much higher. Whereas before they could just hop in the bunker and they're gone. As soon as they're un-CC'd, they're just hop in the bunker, they're gone. Now there is that little bit of window where they can be shut down some more, and it just, a bit of window where it extra that they're outside of the bunker. So that's a pretty big deal actually. Again, I think this will affect pro play a bit more, which is also good because the bunker is kind of OP in pro play. So I think this is a good change. The nerfs to bunker continue. Mighty Gust 2.0. Here we are. Then Talons, level 4. Feeding the Flame. Cooldown reduction decreased from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Now also refunds 5 mana each time flame stream damage an enemy hero. What one is this? Feeding the Flame. What was Feeding the Flame? Oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen this talent taken. Each hero hit by Flame Stream reduces the cooldown of oil spill by 2 seconds and refunds 5 mana. So they nerfed the cooldown reduction, but they gave it some mana back. Okay. Ooh. Oh, this is big. This is big. Oil dispersal no longer increases the slow amount of oils. Ooh. Ooh, that is big. I mean, you probably just take adhesive petroleum now, but this used to give you a more slow. What was it? It went from 40%. No, it's 50%. Was it 50? Was it always 50%? Oh, geez, that's so strong. I had no idea. I thought I felt like it was 40% slow, and then this made it 50%, or maybe it was 50%. This made it 60%. I don't know. Anyway, it used to increase the slow, which is very strong, plus the area. So that's gone. Just bam, gone. Okay, probably good. It will open up more things on this tier. Like I said, I've never even seen this talent before. So there you go. Meltdown damage reduction increased from 5 to 7%. Maximum stack count reduced. Maximum damage reduction increased. Again, I've never really seen this one either. Hitting an enemy hero, Pyromania, reduces their damage dealt by 7% for 2.5 seconds, up to 35%. Okay, so that's pretty good. So it doesn't stack as high, which is good because they can walk out of it. But each stack is more powerful, and it adds up to being just more powerful total. So that's pretty nice, I guess. I mean, yeah, they obviously want to make Blaze a tank, like a main tank, who's with his 4-man team. They don't want him to be a solo laner. They want him to be a tank. So that's kind of the direction they're pushing him in, and opening up some different talent builds. Okay, cool. Changes are intended to better round out his level 4 talents. Yeah, sure. Address the disparity in his power between casual and pro play. Yes. Bunker drop in particular has been used to great effect on this higher level play to avoid nearly all damage from enemy teams with little risk due to the ability to instantly get in and out of the bunker. While players will still be able to avoid large amounts of I didn't even mention that, of course, though. Like just bunker hopping, like going in, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah, that stuff is massively punished, which is also good because it's well, I mean, it looks fancy, but it's really stupid. So yeah, cool, great. Then Mal'Ganis, one of the newest heroes who's always banned. I haven't seen him in years. Basic attack damage reduced from 105 to 100. Less basic attack damage. Because why not? Fell Claws, cooldown increased. I feel like this is already... Was it already increased once? I don't know, but it's certainly been increased now. 9 seconds, haha. Kerrigan Swarm, the damage has been reduced, which also means less healing, less self-healing. And then Will of Tychondrius, level 7, the damage has been reduced from 4% to 3% of max health. So yeah, that's some pretty big nerfs. I mean, compared to every 8 seconds having Fell Claws before, and then Will of Tychondrius stealing 4% max health from enemy heroes. It's now every 9 seconds, and you're stealing only 3% max health. So yeah, I mean, Black Claws could be good. They just nerfed his basic attack, didn't they? So yeah, I mean, they've got so many talents at level 7, and then I don't know, it's one of those weird things where it just was so much easier just to pick Will of Tychondrius and not care. But yeah, now there's lots of stuff to think about, I guess. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out in the end. But yeah, Mal'Ganis, I feel like he's pretty overrated. I've certainly seen Tychus run to literally destroy the guy. We'll see how he turns out here. Then Irel, this is also really big, by the way. I guess so many huge changes here. Murad's Insight now only applies the buff when hitting an enemy hero with the ability. So this, of course, was the dominant, ridiculously dominant level 1 ability, which has already been nerfed before too. Which used to be just whenever you, I think, do damage or just cast the basic ability. I can't even remember now. Let's just say did damage. Your next basic attack would heal, which, it's like, is she ever below half health in lane? I don't know. Now it's only hitting a hero, so that that really limits her sustain in the lane. It adds a lot more counterplay to the solo laning, and honestly probably should have been there before, because it's just been so dominant for so long. So I think, again, that is a really good change. So yeah, massive changes this patch. So Irel, like, just crazy dominant solo laning, hella nerfed. Mal'Ganis, just overall nerfs to him. Blaze really nerfing down the bunker and trying to open up the level 4 talent, but like really targeting the bunker, which has been like just so dominant pro play. Tyrande, they've been, just getting rid of that level 1 cleanse, moving it up to level 7. Stukov. Deckard Cain, who's been like one of the strongest supports now for a good while, adding more counterplay, limiting the power of that healing potion a good bit more. Anna, slight nerfs to Azmodan, has been doing really well. Nerfing down this silly Abathur E stuff, which is just too strong as well. Like, this is great. I mean, Orphea is just single target blow up burst, getting rid of that, getting her more sustained damage, making Nova not awful. Kerrigan obviously getting nerfed again because she's too strong too. I mean, I think this is really good. Hanzo finally getting rid of this ridiculous boss killer stuff. Great. More nerfs to Genji. And more will be cried for from bronze players who are being dominated by Genji in 35% of their games. They win 65, but those 35 they lose, they really hate. So Genji will continue to be nerfed. And then slight buffs to some Alarak stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty big patch. This is pretty huge. It's pretty crazy. Plus the quick match thing finally coming in. It's like, okay, BlizzCon is over. Let's really shake up the meta, and let's just target all of these heroes that are consistently picked at pro play. So hopefully they nerf my AF next patch. But yeah, there we go. There are the changes. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of these things. On the whole, I think this looks really good. I think it's really going to shake up the meta a lot at higher levels. And I think that's good. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.